Today we're heading to the Tibetan Plateau, to a place that's one of the biggest mysteries on Earth, Mount Kailash. It's a mountain that's absolutely wrapped in legend, and in this explainer, we're going to try to pull apart the myths from the actual mountain. I mean, seriously, could a mountain make you age years in just a few hours? It sounds like something from a movie, right? But this is by far the most incredible claim about Mount Kailash, that time itself just works differently there, speeding up your life if you get too close.
And this is the story that really blew up online. This terrifying tale about a climbing team that came back from the mountain only to basically wither away. They rapidly aged by decades and died within a year. It's a really chilling idea, and it's a huge part of the mountain's modern myth.
But the stories don't stop there, not even close. Another really popular theory is that Kailash isn't a mountain at all. Get this, the theory is that it's a giant, man-made pyramid, maybe hollow on the inside, built by some long-lost, super-advanced civilization. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. Thousands of people have stood on top of Mount Everest, the highest point on the planet. So why has no one, not a single person, ever officially climbed Mount Kailash, which is way shorter? What is going on here? Let's dig in. Okay, before we start debunking anything, we have to understand the reality of this place. Because for millions of people, Kailash isn't some mystery to be solved. It is the most sacred place in the world. This isn't just rock and ice, it's the center of their universe.
What's really amazing is how many different faiths all consider this one peak to be holy. We're talking about 4 major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and the ancient Tibetan bone religion. It's this incredible shared sacred space.
So for Hindus, this is literally the home of Lord Shiva. For Buddhists, it's the home of the deity Chakrasamravara. For Jains, it's where their very first great teacher found enlightenment. And for the bone faith, it's the Axis Mundi, the cosmic pillar that connects heaven and earth.
All right, so now that we have that vital context, it's time to put our investigator hats on. We're going to take a hard, scientific look at these wild claims and see what actually holds up. Let's start with that first mind-bending idea of time speeding up. Is there any truth to this claim that your hair and nails can grow as much in 12 hours on the mountain as they would in 2 weeks anywhere else on Earth?
So, what does science have to say? Well, physics is pretty clear. To actually bend time, to create time dilation, you need one of 2 things: either insane gravity, like a black hole, or you need to be moving near the speed of light. Mount Kailash? Well, it has neither of those. And as for any weird magnetic forces, there's just no evidence. No scientific proof of any accelerated aging has ever been recorded there. Period.
So where did this completely wild story even come from? Well, you can trace it all back to one guy, a Russian eye surgeon named Ernst Moldashev. He wasn't a physicist, he wasn't a geologist, and his claims were never published in any real scientific journals. Oh, and he also said he believed in mermaids and vampires. And those Siberian climbers, the Russian Mountaineering Federation is on record saying that expedition never, ever happened. The story is just made up.
Okay, on to the next big claim. Is the mountain a perfect, man-made pyramid placed in a mathematically perfect spot on the globe? It's a really cool idea, for sure. But do the numbers actually work?
Well, this is where the myth really falls apart. The big claim is that Kailash is exactly 6,666 kilometers from the North Pole and from Stonehenge. But if you actually measure it, the numbers are off. Not by a little, but by dozens or even hundreds of kilometers. Close enough to sound spooky, I guess, but definitely not perfect.
And what about that perfect pyramid shape? Turns out it's a completely natural wonder. Geologists have a great explanation for this. Over millions of years, glaciers scraped away at the mountain from different sides, carving it into this sharp, pointed peak. It's a natural process, and you can see a really famous example of it with the Matterhorn in the Swiss Alps.
Right next door to Kailash, there's another mystery that fuels a lot of these stories. You've got 2 huge lakes sitting side by side, but they are polar opposites.
It's really incredible. You have Lake Mansarovar, which is fresh water, full of life, and considered holy. And then, just a tiny strip of land away, you have Rakshas Tal, the demon lake. It's saltwater, totally barren, and considered demonic. One is life, the other is, well, not. So how is that possible?
The science is actually pretty simple. Rakshas Tal is a landlocked lake, which means it has no river flowing out of it. So for thousands of years, water has been evaporating, but all the natural salts and minerals get left behind. Over time, they just get more and more concentrated. Lake Mansarovar, on the other hand, has an outlet, which keeps the water fresh. Simple as that.
So, if it's not time warps or ancient aliens or demon lakes guarding the mountain, what is the real reason no one has ever climbed to the top? Well, the answer is actually way more powerful than any of those myths.
This quote comes from Reinhold Messner, and if you don't know who that is, he is basically the greatest mountaineer who ever lived. First person to climb all 14 8,000-meter peaks, and he did it without oxygen. If anyone could have climbed Kailash, it was him. And he was offered the chance. He refused, and that was his reason.
Messner's decision back in '85 really set a powerful example. So when a Spanish team actually got a permit to climb in 2001, the backlash from all over the world was so huge that the permit was canceled. And right after that, the Chinese government just put an end to it, officially and permanently banning all climbing on Mount Kailash.
Oh, and what about those stories of a mysterious force pushing climbers back, giving them headaches and making them dizzy? That's not a mystical guardian. It's a very real and very dangerous medical condition called altitude sickness. It happens when your brain doesn't get enough oxygen at high elevations. It's serious stuff.
So when you strip away all the pseudoscience and the fiction, you're left with something that, honestly, is far more amazing. The true miracle of Mount Kailash isn't some secret hidden on its peak. It's about how we, as a people, have decided to treat it.
And that right there is the real story. The real wonder isn't a time warp or a pyramid. It's the fact that in a world obsessed with conquering everything, we've collectively looked at this one place and said, no, this one stays sacred. It's a rare moment of humanity choosing respect over conquest.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. In a world that is so obsessed with being the first, with climbing the highest, going the fastest, what does it really mean to all agree to leave one place totally and purposefully unconquered? Maybe the greatest achievement isn't always planting a flag. Maybe sometimes it's just having the wisdom not to.